Welcome to Airplay Escape. Please consider subscribing to my Patreon account for the full audiobook. Thank you for your support. Football, the strongest center in history, Episode 81. What an international superstar. While Ronaldo was sitting on a plane flying from France to the south of the Celestial Empire, in Yongqing, Baiyun International Airport, at this time, there is already a large crowd at the pickup gate. Fans spontaneously went to Baiyun International Airport to pick up. The weak Celestial Empire football environment makes these fans regard Ronaldo as the savior of Celestial Empire football. After all, football in the Celestial Empire is too difficult. It's so hard. All the fans eagerly await that in this darkness, a light will appear. A light appears that can illuminate the world. Therefore, the appearance of Ronaldo quickly filled this space and made him quickly popular. This can also be seen. It's not that the people of the Celestial Empire don't like football, but there really is no character who can make them mention it and have a light on their face. What's going on? How are there so many people today? Some people who were completely unaware of the situation asked. You don't know? I don't know. Ronaldo. Ooh, I know this. Brazil that? No, it's not Ronaldo. It's Ronaldo. It's Ronaldo. Our Celestial Empire. We have Ronaldo too? No, it's that, more. Isn't this Ronaldo? In short, no matter how these two people are, at Baiyun International Airport, a large number of fans gathered, which has made the entire vicinity of the pickup gate watery. Many people also think that some international star has come to Yongqing. How else could this happen? If you don't pay attention to football, you basically don't think of football. Even giants of the level of Real Madrid and Manchester United are unlikely to cause such a shock when they come to the Celestial Empire, right? In the past, heartthrob David Beckham had a crowded effect. But that's based on the fact that Xiaobei has a large number of female fans. These female fans are not necessarily football fans, they are purely Xiaobei's fans. Meanwhile, before Ronaldo arrived by plane, another domestic flight landed at Baiyun Airport. On the first-class window, a Ji Taimei, who wears heavy makeup and is known as the new generation of small fresh meat in China, and his agent are preparing to get off the plane. Taimei, the pickup gate seems to be blocked, his agent said with a happy look on his face. What? Ji Taimei was also happy. I'll just say it. These damn entertainment journalists say that my traffic is all swiped. Take a look. Take a look at this scene. What an international superstar. Ji Taimei tactically leans back. His agent also nodded. To be honest, he was also quite surprised. He arranged a group of people to pick up the airport. After all, brushing traffic for so long, always a little brain-dead fan, plus to continue to add fire, fool investors to give money. If you have the opportunity to star in a traffic movie or something, take the money and monetize, and this makes a lot of money. But he didn't expect that this Ji Taimei was so appealing. Take a look at the airport entrance. I don't know, I thought that some movie queen and other super big names came. Oh, let's see if my lipstick has come off. Do you want to touch up some makeup? I want to give my fans the best I can be. Ji Taimei hurriedly took out a small mirror and added a layer of flying powder to her face. Whiter. The broker nodded in satisfaction. This is the little fresh meat. Those brain-dead fans love this one. That's right. Security guard. And security, Ji Taimei hurriedly reminded. The broker also nodded repeatedly. Yes, there are so many brain-dead fans, what if they rush up? The broker hurriedly contacted the security company that had previously cooperated with and asked them to continue to increase the number of security guards. What? Only 10? The broker laughed angrily. You don't look at the current situation at the airport entrance. Are 10 security guards enough? I tell you, if our family Taimei is broken, can you afford it? At least 50. 50, understand? The agent barked into the phone. The efficiency on the side of the security company is also good. Somebody paid for it anyway. 50 makes more. Just when Ji Taimei came out of the doorway, a group of security guards formed 2 rows of human chain passages. At the pickup port, the number of people is indeed quite large. Woo, a large flock. At this moment, someone suddenly shouted. Ronaldo's plane landed, at gate 2. As soon as these words come out, the crowd boiled and all rushed to the second pickup gate. Soon, in front of Ji Taimei, there were not a few people left. There were a few chunky and ugly brain-dead fans holding signs, but there are not as many of them as security guards. Ji Taimei's face suddenly turned dark. Who is Ronaldo? He stomped his foot and was about to cry. His agent smiled awkwardly, and his face was a little embarrassed. There are more security guards than fans. If this is on the news. The agent was hesitant and hurriedly left with Ji Taimei. Fortunately, the reporters all paid attention to Ronaldo and did not notice that there was a small fresh meat for the time being. However, these fans are destined to run for nothing. Ronaldo did disembark at Baiyun International Airport, but he was just transiting at this airport. Since he did not buy a direct flight ticket to Sichuandu, the homesick Ronaldo had to buy a plane to Yongqing first, and then boarded a domestic flight from Yongqing to Chengdu. The fans waited a long time, didn't wait for Ronaldo. Discouraged, eventually, someone took a photo of Ronaldo from Chengdu Airport. The fans know that. The destination of Ronaldo turned out to be Sichuan. Episode 82, Black and White in the Media. Ronaldo's return caused a sensation, but Ronaldo didn't know that these things were happening. When he actually got off the plane from Bayonne Airport, he saw Adele's text message. What do you think? He looked at the text message for a long time, but there was no reply, because he doesn't know how to reply. So much has happened in the past week or so. This was a bit overwhelming for both of them, and now Ronaldo doesn't know how to deal with it. He has too little experience with this. Let's enjoy your vacation first. Ronaldo is actually quite busy. He had just got off the plane when Alexander's phone called, told him what happened at Yongqing Bayonne International Airport. Because of this thing, now there are already people on the internet who take the rhythm and say that Ronaldo is playing big names. Therefore, Alexander told him very seriously that this was a public relations crisis. Poor handling. It may be a lot less money. When Ronaldo heard it, he immediately attached great importance to it. When it came to making money, he attached great importance to it. I suggest you start a Weibo. Alexander suggested. I have Weibo? I mean, the kind of plus V. I will help you operate. It is estimated that the Weibo official will give you a wave of publicity. Ronaldo nodded. He trusted Alexander very much, to be honest. Without Alexander, he couldn't handle many things. Especially Alexander helped him get a weekly salary of 150,000. If Ronaldo himself came, it is estimated that 50,000 is the top of the sky. In terms of means, Alexander is not inferior to any football agent in this world. Moreover, this top broker only serves itself. Of course, I trust him very much. Soon, Ronaldo's Weibo was launched. Hello friends in China, I am Ronaldo. Thank you very much for your concern. I'm sorry to make everyone wait for a long time at Bayonne International Airport yesterday, but I booked a transfer ticket and transferred directly from Yongqing to Sichuan. Soon, this Weibo became a hit. The name of the Weibo account is Ronaldo, and the following profile, Barry Saint-Germain players. Very simple introduction, but enough is enough. Barry is not a top giant, though, but at least it's also a local team. Ronaldo squeezed out a center of Kevin Gamero's level in the competition within the team. Moreover, it is said that Ferguson, the godfather of the Red Devils, is extremely optimistic about Ronaldo, and the Red Devils have made many bids to buy Ronaldo. Soon, fans flocked to the airport. Weibo's followers quickly increased, and the number of people quickly exceeded 1 million. And to say that at this time, who is most worried about Ronaldo's fame in China? That, of course, was the expulsion of Ronaldo's club, Kawato Jingguang Football Club. This club is a big local club. I've always been in the second division. And just in the millennium, they received capital injection from Chuandu Jingguang Real Estate Company, recruited troops, and prepared to rush to the top. Now that Ronaldo is so hot, it would not be a good thing to hit their club. Isn't it just a Ronahao? The club's new general manager pouted. Hype up his fight at the club, this kind of thing, spend a little money and solve it. His face was light and breezy. In his opinion, even if the expulsion of Ronaldo is shady, but how could the average fan know? There is no evidence. But Ronaldo's beating up his teammates on the training ground is a sure thing. If this thing goes out, the club may be able to create a wave of personalities. Even if Ronaldo's ball skills are good, our club doesn't need such players who don't respect their teammates either. So, Ronaldo really won't affect them yet. Maybe your own club can get more attention and advertise your own real estate company by the way. Call Lu Guanto and ask him to write an article. The general manager knocked on the table. Give him $1 million, I'm going to make this Ronaldo stink. Can't let him affect the reputation of our company. Yes, boss. Lu Guanto, named Lu De, is a well-known reporter for Sports Daily. Receiving red envelopes to write articles about blacks is a normal thing for Lu Guanto. It's just that before that, it was at most 100,000. Now that someone suddenly smashed $1 million, Lu Guanto was naturally happy to see the hunter. And Negro materials are still readily available. Ronaldo beats up his teammates and gets expelled from the club. Look. Such black materials, there is no need to look for them at all. Previously, the matter of Ronaldo was only circulating in the football circles of Sichuan capital, and the people of the whole country did not know about it. However, if it is reported by a big newspaper like the sports newspaper, Naranado, I'm afraid it's really going to stink. Just when the Cotai club was looking for a reporter to prepare the black Ronaldo, Ronaldo is also speaking to reporters. Zhou Jing was very excited. After all, this is Ronaldo's first-hand interview with the domestic media. Sport and sport have been competitors. Now that he can get the interview with Ronaldo first, he is one step ahead of his opponent. The two ordered 2 cups of tea at a tea house in Sichuan. They chatted for 2 hours, which was much longer than Zhou Jing had expected. Why did we talk for so long? Because Ronaldo's story is so fascinating. At the beginning of the interview, Zhou Jing also asked questions in a polite manner. But as the interview progressed, it gradually became Ronaldo's one-man show. Ronaldo carefully recalled his current career, and it was also a spit-out. Through Ronaldo's story, Zhou Jing knew why Ronaldo played in Barry Saint-Germain's youth team and then went to the first team. He was at a club in the country and was blackfoot by his teammates to depose him. Then the furious Ronaldo punched the opponent so hard that he was expelled from the team and lost the opportunity to become a professional and play for his hometown team. After that, his father took him on a singing and crying journey to Europe. They are cheeky and go to every European team to sell door to door. When they arrived in Lyon, they did not receive Lyon's respect, but mocked and mocked. In the end, Barry Saint-Germain's youth team director, Mr. Barr, gave Ronaldo a chance. Finally, Ronaldo soared. They are indomitable. They do not abandon and do not give up. And so it went all the way. Finally, I tasted the wine of victory. Zhou Jing looked at the big boy in front of him and couldn't help but admire it. Although he is several years older than Rana. But I have to admit that this boy is much stronger than himself. With such a strong person, success is not accidental. Episode 83, See How You Die. After getting the first-hand and informative information, Zhou Jing said goodbye to Ronaldo happily and couldn't wait to return to the hotel in order to interview Ronaldo for the first time. She specially booked a ticket from Yangqing to Sichuandu. She made a phone call to her editor-in-chief, and then she worked hard to compile the materials into a press release that could be seen. This information, he dares to say, is the only one in the country. Exclusive. What exclusivity means? It is impossible for a journalist not to know. Just when Zhou Jing was immersed in writing in the hotel, her opponent, Lu De, a reporter for Sports Daily, also writes at home. It's just different from Zhou Jing's desire to portray Ronaldo as an inspirational player model. His purpose is simple. It's just to stink Ronaldo. After all, I received the money. Lu De is not only a journalist, but also a celebrity in the cultural circle. I often mix with some lawyers, artists, SWA families, and so on. So I feel like a cultural person, not a simple football reporter. He doesn't just write football news. And also on Weibo, the yin and yang strange needle, belittled current affairs. The popularity is quite high. Such a person is naturally powerful in his pen and has a lot of fans. Energy naturally cannot be underestimated. The world is always like this, and when you are infinitely light, few people pay attention to your dark side. A man who beat his teammate and was expelled from the club found an opportunity in Europe. It has to be said that sometimes, the ball quality and character are actually not commensurate. Are we going to make such people idols in society? The time has come to test the moral standards of our society. Such a football hooligan is not worthy of being called a star adored by the whole people. Lu Da's pen in his hand was like a knife. Criticize Ronaldo hard in the article. It seems that people like Ronaldo do not get rid of. It's like the country is finished. Moreover, as soon as he completed this report, he also published articles on the internet simultaneously. His cultural friends, XX teachers, XX writers, and the like, naturally helped the field. Massive retweets on the web. Soon, Sport devoted an entire page to Ronaldo's glorious deeds. The Sport newspaper also devoted a page to reporting on Ronaldo's beating of his teammates. The two seem to be fighting in the ring. That's interesting. Even the melon-eating masses who don't care about football want to read this report to see what's going on. Hey, did you hear? Chouandu suddenly appeared a man who played in France. Very good, League 1 half golden boot, half league scored 22 goals. Well, just now the sports newspaper was still scolding him. Why scold? Say he's a hooligan and get fired for beating up his teammates. How can such a person play in League 1? How do I know? Zhou Jing frowned, looking at the report concocted by Lu De in his hand. To be honest, she believed in Ro. She had contact with Ronaldo. Although this young man looks a little crazy, but in general, he is not a bad person. And there is also a cute side that is characteristic of young boys. Zhou Jing had a good impression of Ronaldo. So, for this report by Lu De, she knew at the first time that this must have been written by receiving red envelopes. Oh, the heart. Merely. Zhou Jing found something very troublesome. That is, Ronaldo was really fired by the club. Also really because of the fight. At this time, the population has two skins. What people have to say, how to say. Anyway, there is no evidence. This is very bad for Ronaldo. Early the next morning, Ronaldo wandered around the house. When passing by the newsstand, I saw my own newspaper. Rejoice in your heart, buy it. I'm getting ready to go. I saw the Sports Daily. I thought of myself, although I only gave an interview to the sports newspaper. Maybe the sports newspaper also reported on itself. Buy it and go back and look through it. When he got home, he opened Sports Daily. Sure enough, in the report, Zhou Jing praised her everyone, and used an entire page. This made him feel so refreshed that he couldn't help but laugh. Alexander looked at the sports newspaper on the side. Then he handed the newspaper to Ronaldo, who laughed. What for? Ronaldo didn't know what he meant. Some people call you a football hooligan, Alexander said calmly, as if this matter had nothing to do with him. Huh? Ronaldo took the newspaper and read it for half a minute. Sunrise ancestors. He slammed the newspaper on the table. What the? He was called a football hooligan. It is said to be a shame for Celestial Empire football. This is simply unbearable and unbearable. Protest. Call to protest, Ronaldo said. It's useless to just protest. Do you have proof? Ronaldo was stunned. Yes, that's troublesome. There is no evidence. It's just said, who can believe whom? How can this be done? Alexander pouted. Isn't there a simulation training function in the super training ground? Ronaldo was stunned. Is this okay? You simulate the scene, I'll video it. But, aren't there only teammates from Paris in the training ground? You can also change to those teammates in Sichuan. Alexander said. Ronaldo suddenly laughed. Say it early. Ronaldo enters the system's super training ground. Sure enough, there was an option to choose a training ground inside. It's just relatively dim, and Ronaldo usually doesn't really find it. When he changed the training ground to the previous training ground at the Sichuan capital Cotai Club, the sparring partner inside was also replaced by the corresponding person. Turtle Sun. Engaging Lao Tzu is not. Lao Tzu ruined you. Ronaldo was furious. It's still easy to simulate being Blackfoot by a teammate. Isn't it just fouling people? Soon, Alexander captured a picture. A small player rushed up, lifted his feet off the ground, and chopped at Ronaldo's ankle. This kick is going to be chopped. Legs will definitely be broken. Then Ronaldo dodged in a thrill and became furious. The whole process of the brawl incident was also filmed. After Ronaldo watched the video taken by Alexander, he said viciously, "Want to hack me? See how you die." Episode 84, then expulsion. After concocting the video, Ronaldo was very satisfied. The video looks like it was filmed by a sideline officer watching the training. Although it is a little shaky, the key thing is very clear. Ronaldo was Blackfoot, and more than once. Ronaldo finally broke out, clashed with the other party, and then got into action. Such a video was sent. The melon-eating masses would never think there was anything wrong with Ronaldo. What's the big deal for someone who wants to ruin his career and teach him a lesson? On the contrary, most people still feel that they are not relieved enough. Soon, Ronaldo posted the video on his Weibo account. Moreover, he didn't need to explain much, and directly accompanied the text, "This is the case." Moment. This Weibo rushed to the hot search. Ronaldo's video can be said to have completely exposed some of the dirtiness in the football circle. In order to combat competitors, there will be a move to directly destroy people with black feet. This kind of thing is something that ordinary fans are very reluctant to think about, but this time it happened alive in front of their eyes. More importantly, after this incident, Ronaldo was punished, and the guy with the black foot also played in the professional league. How can this kind of thing be convincing? Lying groove, go straight to the black feet? It turns out that this is how Ronaldo was expelled. If you don't do this kind of thing, can you endure it? I can't help it anyway. It's really vicious. Hee, it's really blind that the Golden Light Club fired such a shooter like this. Man is not blind, he is blind. You can't kick the main force without giving red envelopes? It's a smoky miasma. For a time, the crowd was excited. Luda is repeatedly watching his own articles. He was a bit narcissistic and thought he was writing too well. The scolding is hearty. A real pen is like a knife. Otherwise, no one can offend the literati. In this way, he still regarded himself as a man of letters. That's when the people in his office were pushed away. Luda frowned. That rude bastard who doesn't open his eyes and doesn't know to knock before he enters the door. As a result, I looked up and saw the angry face of the editor-in-chief. He had his phone in his hand. Lou Bald Head. The editor-in-chief did not call his name, but directly called his slightly mocking nickname. Illustrate. The editor-in-chief is angry now. You show Lao Tzu. The editor-in-chief put the mobile phone in front of Luda. This is a paused video. Luda opened it and looked at it, and the cold sweat instantly stayed. This video clearly restores the scene of Ronaldo being blackened. So, didn't the article he wrote yesterday become a joke? What did you say yesterday? The cancer of Celestial Empire football? Ball bully? Football hooligans? The editor-in-chief was furious, and his voice was several times louder than usual. You played broken. Lou Bald Head. The editor-in-chief grabbed the phone, pacing back and forth in the office. Sports newspapers were originally competitors to fight against the stage. This time it was a parting of ways on Ronaldo's report. On one side is praise, on the other side is criticism. If you don't have this video, that's fine. After all, isn't that person two-sided? But as soon as this video came out, that's a big deal. Because the truth is not what Lu Guangtou wrote at all. If it's serious. This is fake news. This is an event that can endanger the survival of the newspaper. Luda looked at this video and felt a little dizzy. Now think about it. The Cotai Club will give itself $1 million. This million took. It's hot. Sure enough, it's not easy to make every penny. Luda felt a little dizzy. Right at this time, a person rushed in and shouted at the editor-in-chief, Teacher Chen, Teacher Chen. A foreigner claiming to be Ronaldo's agent called to protest. The editor-in-chief, known as Teacher Chen, froze, and then he glared at Luda fiercely, turned around and followed the person out of the office. Before walking out the door, he also put down his cruel words, "You wait to write the inspection and public apology letter." In the editor-in-chief's opinion, it does not matter whether Ronaldo is a ball bully or a football hooligan. The point is, he's hot right now, and it's a lot of fire. If this matter is not handled well, this fire will burn to the sports newspaper. That's a big deal. Originally, Ronaldo attracted the attention of fans. After the report of the confrontation between Zhou Jing and Luda came out, Ronaldo was even redder. So red that even the melon-eating masses who are not football fans know it. Now the people of the whole country know that such a figure has been produced in Sichuan. He was expelled from the team in a fit of rage after beating the murderer in a fit of anger by his teammates in the country. Then he went to Dalpa, where his father had borrowed money to take him around Duroba, just to find a club that could take him in. Such a legendary story can simply write a novel. Therefore, after the unknown melon-eating masses saw it, many people's first thoughts were, I wipe, this flying donkey came out, right? However, when Ronaldo's video came out, just confirmed Zhou Jing's report. In the face of such an iron-like thing, Lu Da's report became the target of everyone, and the Sports Daily soon received many calls of protest and condemnation. Such an influential big media actually did not even do basic investigations, and just talked about it in the media. The result? It turns out that Ronaldo is innocent. People are not football hooligans. Instead, it is an inspirational idol. This experience can be the kind of movie you can make. Protest calls kept pouring into sports newspapers, and emails of sternly worded complaints were sent. Let the office building of the Sports Daily make a mess these days. Inside the newspaper, there was also a fierce fight. According to the editor-in-chief's wishes, it is to let Lu Guangtou do an internal review, and then write a public apology letter and publish it in a prominent position. Minimize negative impacts. However, Lu prides himself on being a scholar, resolutely refuses to bow to the underworld forces, resolutely refuses to admit his mistakes, and resolutely disdains any public apology letters. I just don't apologize anyway. If you have this city, you will fire me, Lu said quite stiffly, as if 4 big characters were written on the shiny brain door. Then he was fired. It is said that he later became one of the so-called celebrities on Weibo. Relying on Black Ronaldo, he also attracted a group of fans. Any subsequent news that went unfavorable to Ronaldo could see him charge ahead, impassioned criticism, portraying Ronaldo as a collection of the dark side of any football. But that's all for later. Episode 85, Paris Saint-Germain's change of position. And at this time, the red-haired Ronaldo began to receive calls from all over the country. Imperial Capital, Magic Capital, Yangqing, Pengcheng, and so on. Media everywhere wanted to interview him. The local TV station in Sichuan also came to the door with a camera. Her own mother simply stopped helping in the store, so she stayed at home and began to greet the reporters who came to interview them. But soon she went back. Because of Ronaldo, many reporters also ran to interview his father Lu away. In this way, they also helped their small shop to play a free advertisement, so that the business in the store was not good. It's too busy for a person. During this time, Zhou Jing simply stayed in Sichuandu. Because she knows Ronaldo best, her main job is to connect Ronaldo with the media. When the reporters do not know the contact information of Ronaldo's agent, they interview Ronaldo through the line of Zhou Jing. In this way, Zhou Jing is a bit like Ronaldo's spokesperson in China. Ronaldo doesn't actually refuse media interviews either. Why refuse? Fame and fortune. Fame is beneficial. No, these days want to find Ronaldo endorsement products of domestic manufacturers to break the home pedal. But when it comes to finding endorsement products, Ronaldo and Alexander's consensus is that it is better to lack than to abuse. The amount of endorsement is also an identity. Even the brand too. Ordinary brands, Ronaldo can't look at, and it is easy to affect their own image. Speaking of this, Ronaldo remembered the throat advertisement he once saw. The thought of the scene where big names like Ronaldo and Kaka say XX golden voice with a very professional smile, Ronaldo wants to laugh. But I want to firmly put an end to such a situation. Of course, being famous isn't just a compliment. On the internet, there is no less analysis of Ronaldo. There are always some people in this world who like to contradict others to show their distorted superiority. Some people pointed out at length what Ronaldo's problem was. The characteristics are single, the technique is rough, the ejaculation is not perfect, and the basic skills are poor. To this, Ronaldo just sneered. Wait for it. It won't be long before you see a more awesome Ronaldo. Slap in the face. People are the best at it. Inside the rest of the holiday, in addition to being interviewed by media across the country, Ronaldo is immersed in hard training at the super training ground. The holiday has half a month. It's been more than halfway through, and he's going to work hard. Holidays are the time when fat accumulation is most likely to accumulate. Therefore, what to practice during the holidays is not as important as training the body. Before returning home, Ronaldo specifically asked the team's physical therapist for a training plan. It was lined with items he needed to practice this holiday, including strength, speed, balance, endurance, and more. We will strive not to experience a decline in physical condition after the holiday. However, just in the last days of the holiday, Ronaldo prepares for the penultimate day of his return to Paris. Ronaldo received explosive news. The team's head coach, Combuer. Class is over. When Ronaldo saw Alexander say this, he couldn't believe it. This thing? It came too suddenly. After all, Combuer was the manager who led the team to the halftime title. In this case, what reason does Paris Saint-Germain have to fire Combuer? There's no reason for that. Ronaldo couldn't figure it out. Alexander saw Ronaldo frowning, so he spread out his hand and said, "This is actually quite normal. Why do you say that? Do you know the purpose of the Qatari consortium's acquisition of Paris Saint-Germain?" I don't know, I don't know. Alexander laughed, but after seeing Ronaldo's unkind face, he hurriedly said, but I know that the Middle East consortium spending so much money must not just want to dominate in France. They are more, I am afraid to win in Europe. Ronaldo nodded. This is easy to understand. After all, people spend so much money. If it's just for that Ligue 1 champion, it's too blind. What does this have to do with firing Combuer? Because they don't believe Combuer can lead the team to make a difference in the Champions League. Alexander said. How did I hear that it was because Leonardo didn't like him? Ronaldo scratched his head. Cut. Alexander shook his head. There is this reason, but not the main reason. The main reason? That's right, because Leonardo's bosses want a real boss to coach Paris Saint-Germain. A real famous handsome? That's right. Alexander had a smile on his face. I couldn't see if he meant something else with mockery. Do you know who Paris Saint-Germain's new manager is? I don't know. Ronaldo said he really didn't know, because it wasn't written in the media right now. Ancelotti, huh? Ronaldo sighed. To say big names. This manager is a real big name. Carlo Ancelotti was a superstar caliber player when he was a player. He used to be a midfielder for Roma and Milan. As a player, he won the Champions League twice and Serie A 3 times. He also represented Italy in the 1986, 1990 World Cup and 1988 European Championship, winning the 3rd place in the World Cup and the 4th place in the European Cup. After retiring, Carlo Ancelotti chose to become a coach. After retiring, Carlo Ancelotti assisted Sacchi as an assistant coach for Italy, winning the World Cup runner-up in 1994. In the mid-90s, he coached Reggiana FC and Parma FC, winning the Coppa Italia and the UEFA Cup. From the 2001 to 2002 season, Carlo Ancelotti managed AC Milan for 7.5 seasons, leading Milan to 3 Champions League finals and winning the Serie A title once. Carlo Ancelotti became Chelsea manager in 2009 and helped Chelsea win the Premier League and FA Cup in the 2009 to 2010 season. He won the Champions League twice as a player. As a manager, he also won the Champions League twice. Carlo Ancelotti is indeed a winner in life. If you talk about big names, he is indeed one of the biggest managers at the moment. So, in the second half of the season, your main position is probably going to be a bit of a twist and turn, Alexander said. Ronaldo nodded, but at the same time he said confidently, what about Ancelotti? If he wants to win the championship, he still has to use me, Ronaldo believed. As long as Ancelotti is not stupid, he is unlikely to abandon his own. Isn't it competition? Ronaldo is not afraid. Episode 86, Child's Journey 1000 Miles, Mother is Worried. Because of the change in the team, Ronaldo decided to end his vacation early and return to Paris. Before that, he made a phone call to Combuer. Mr. Coach. Although Combuer left class, Ronaldo still has great respect for the French veteran. After all, it was Combuer who gave himself the opportunity to play for the first team, gave himself the opportunity to prove his strength. This kindness, Ronaldo will not forget. Combuer was a little strange. He didn't expect Ronaldo to call him, Mr. Coach, that. Ronaldo didn't know what to say to comfort the old man. On the contrary, Combuer looked very open. This kind of thing, in the world of football, is too normal. Haha, I don't need comfort, This kind of thing is all too normal, said Combuer. Speaking of which, he didn't suffer either. Until he finds a job, his salary at Paris Saint-Germain is to be paid as usual. There are no losses financially. Where are you going next? I'll stay in Paris for a few days and then go back home and rest for a whole day, Combuer said. I'll drop you off at the airport. No, When you do this, it is easy for the media to misinterpret it as being dissatisfied with the club or even with the new manager, Combuer said. I'm not afraid of this, Mr. Coach, Ronaldo said. You know that. Combuer smiled. Yes, this kid. This character, how could he possibly worry about this? If he worries about this, he is not Ronaldo. 2011 has passed. On January 2, 2012, after a New Year's Day at home, Ronaldo was ready to return to Paris. It is also a pity that I did not have the opportunity to spend the Spring Festival with my family. However, as a professional player, the Spring Festival period coincides with the intensive schedule of the league, which is no way. Work and life, after all, cannot have both. A few days before the 2nd, my mother didn't go to the store to help. Instead, she was busy in the kitchen, and she was hurrying to give Ronaldo what she was going to take. Sausages, these traditional Sichuan shoe delicacies. A large box full of them. Although these things, professional athletes should eat less, but Ronaldo didn't refuse. The mother always thought that her son would not eat well over there, and these foods alone were stuffed with a large box full of food. Last time Ronaldo took praise her without knowing it, so she didn't have any preparation. In the past 6 months, she has been blaming herself for this, feeling that she has not fulfilled her mother's responsibilities, and many things have not been prepared for her son. As a mother, she is always reluctant to let her son travel far. The son thinks it's not a big deal. The world is so small. On this day, both parents Ronaldo and Alexander were sent to the airport. After completing the formalities, they said goodbye in the hall. Go there and continue to play well, but don't be proud, hear me? Luo Wei instructed his son. Ronaldo nodded, I know. Also, remember to control your temper and stop being impulsive. I'm much better tempered now, Dad. Ronaldo spread his hands and laughed. My mother came up and said, it seems that the security in Paris is quite bad, so I don't have to go out. Ronaldo nodded repeatedly. Paris is not safe, but that's in the favelas. Ronaldo's apartment is in a wealthy area, and security is still okay. Call home when you're done eating, and I'll send it to you again. When you go out alone, be careful not to cause trouble everywhere. Your agent is a good guy, listen to him more, hear it? Also, if the foreign debts at home are paid off, you don't send money back, we have money ourselves. Keep your money for your own use, and entertaining teammates on the team must cost a lot of money. Don't forget to call your grandparents, and grandparents. Said her mother. Dad tells about work, and mom cares about the child's life. Or Luo Wei interrupted his wife to continue to nag. He pointed to his watch and said to his wife, let my son go to the security check, I'm afraid it's too late. Oh. Only then did mom react. You hurry up, that's more. Don't get on the plane. Instead of waving goodbye, Ronaldo stepped forward directly and hugged his mother first. Lu Hui was stunned for a moment. She didn't expect her son to express his emotions in this way, and for a while under the public, she suddenly felt embarrassed to write again. Mom, when you miss me, look at the computer, there is an icon on it, click on it and you can see the French game. I'll definitely be seen in newspapers and TV in the future. Ronaldo said in his mother's ear. The mother only felt that her nose was sour, and her eyes were already blurred, and she did not dare to say it, for fear of crying out and losing face in front of her son. I could only nod. Ronaldo let go of his mother and hugged him again. Dad, then don't do the business, I can also make money now, you can all retire with peace of mind. Luo Wei gave Luo Nadwa a slap and slapped him on the back. What did I do at home so early? I don't play mahjong again. Don't worry about our affairs, take care of yourself, there are many temptations outside, you are not allowed to be like those Celestial Empire players mentioned in the newspaper, play football well, don't give me everything. Dad knew that this opportunity was not easy to come by, so he was afraid that his son would not do anything wrong and play off. I know, Dad. When the time comes, you watch the news, as long as I am scoring goals, then it means that I am serious. Ronaldo let go of his father, and then waved at the second elder. Goodbye Dad, goodbye Mom. Take care of yourself at home, I'll call you often, let's go, I won't be able to catch the plane in a while. Dad is looking at his watch. Be careful over there, remember to call home when you arrive, don't forget to add clothes when it's cold, call home when you're done eating, and I'll send it to you again. Mom kept waving for Ronaldo to leave quickly. After saying goodbye to his parents, Ronaldo pulled up 2 suitcases and turned with Dracula and walked towards the security lane. Go back. Luo Wei said. From beside him, however, came a sob. He turned to see his wife wiping her eyes with her hand. Can't bear it? Luo Wei asked. Lu Hui nodded. The answers were still crying. If you miss him, just read the newspaper. There must be news about him in the newspapers. Maybe he will be seen on TV in a while? Luo Wei thought of when he was walking around with his son. Unexpectedly, only half a year later, his own son became a big star. Lu Hui nodded, but the tears still did not disappear. Episode 87. No head coach ignores me. Winters in Paris are not too cold. The warm currents of the warm Atlantic Ocean and the plains of Western Europe blow unimpeded from France to Poland. Let it not be cold in winter and not too hot in summer. The temperature can be said to be very comfortable, even in January. Ronaldo was just wearing a long-sleeved shirt. A pair of jeans and a shirt reveal his explosive figure. At the Paris airport, such a dressed Ronaldo has attracted the attention of many ladies. If it weren't for the fact that there was an old man Comboirie by his side, many of them were planning to hand their phone numbers to Ronaldo and have a romantic day. Good journey, Mr. Coach, Ronaldo said with great respect. Although Comboirie is not famous, but Ronaldo still had great respect for him. To this extent, Ronaldo is actually a very traditional Celestial Empire person. The grace of dripping water is rewarded when the fountain springs. Even if Ronaldo knows that appearing at the airport at this time to see off the former manager who has just been fired by Paris Saint-Germain, I am afraid that many media will maliciously interpret it as dissatisfaction with high-level decision-making, and even provocation of new coach Carlo Ancelotti. But Ronaldo came anyway. Comboirie smiled. To be honest, Ronaldo's success had little to do with him. This is also clear to Comboirie. He just gave Ronaldo a chance to play. Moreover, I believe that no coach will let a striker with such a bright hot spot as Ronaldo sit on the cold bench. He will always get a chance to play. And Ronaldo just seized the opportunity. There is a saying, fate always favors those who work hard. It's not just chicken soup. Ronaldo is the hardest working player Comboirie has ever seen. He is arrogant, and loves to go to nightclubs with his teammates. These are perhaps common traits of many young and famous players. But, in Camber's view, it doesn't matter that Ronaldo has these shortcomings. And most importantly, he worked hard, very hard. At the moment of parting, Camber suddenly felt his biggest gain at Paris Saint-Germain may be coaching a disciple like Ronaldo. Perhaps, in his coaching career, the future achievements are the highest. I'm afraid it's this Ronaldo, provided that he can maintain his current attitude. I won't say much else, Luo. Camber patted Ronaldo's shoulder. I've seen a lot of young players who became famous, but very few managed to get to the top. You know why? Of course, Ronaldo nodded, just so you understand. Camber said, your characteristics are still too single, you have such a strong body. If your foot ability is a little stronger, you will become the most terrifying Forbidden Zone Terminator. Yes sir, I'm working on that. Ronaldo smiled. I'm sure this day won't be too far away. You kid. Camber smiled too. Yes, that's Ronaldo's style. Straightforward, arrogant. At the same time, it also reveals the cuteness of the big boy. Goodbye, Ro. Goodbye, sir. Ronaldo watched as Camber boarded the plane. Then he looked outside the glass wall of the gate at the many reporters running with long guns, ignoring it. For the return of Ronaldo, journalists in France were extremely excited. Because the previous Adele gossip boyfriend incident was still at its climax, it ended abruptly. Ronaldo went directly to China, and Adele went to Millikan. So, neither party is located in France. This made the paparazzi in France extremely sad. It's good now. One of the subjects returned to Paris, just in time to encounter explosive news in French football. Paris Saint-Germain has changed coaches. In the case of winning the half championship, Paris still fired Camber. This made many media in Paris, and even in France, indignant about this. They felt that Paris Saint-Germain's approach was unsympathetic and even too harsh on Camber. In any case, Camber's coaching experience at Paris Saint-Germain is not a failure. After accepting Paris Saint-Germain last season, Camber brought Paris Saint-Germain into the top 4 to qualify for the Europa League. And this season, after entering the Qatari consortium injection, some are crazy purchases. He led the team to a steady rise, eventually beating Lyon and Montpellier to win the halftime championship, and the upward momentum was very obvious. And in this case, Camber, as a France manager, was fired by Paris Saint-Germain. The French media were naturally indignant. In the days when Ronaldo left France, the focus of sports news is on the change of manager of Paris Saint-Germain. Many media criticized Paris Saint-Germain for its quick success, and even some media directly said that Paris Saint-Germain is an upstart mentality. There was also media discussion of the impact on Paris Saint-Germain with Camber leaving class and Carlo Ancelotti taking over. I think the first to bear the brunt is probably Ronaldo's position. As an Italian manager, Carlo Ancelotti's tactics are very rich. I am afraid that he will not use such a simple and crude tactic as Camber. And if you want to enrich the tactical system, you can only head the ball at present, and it looks like Ronaldo who can shoot from a distance. I'm afraid it's the first player to be affected, the French legend Rippard, who last called Ronaldo an outdated striker, said in the article. Since the first half of the season, Ronaldo's performance can be described as impeccable. He scored 28 goals for Paris Saint-Germain in all competitions, including 22 league goals. Such efficiency is terrifying. However, of those 28 goals, 25 were headers. Only 3 scored with their feet. This also led many French media to ridicule Ronaldo for playing not football, but heading. Of course, in any case, Ronaldo's goal count is here. And after Ancelotti comes, will he continue Camber's tactical system with Ronaldo as the core? This is very doubtful, or rather, with a high probability not. In this way, does Ronaldo still have a place? The journalists were eager to ask Ronaldo himself. When Ronaldo walked out of the airport, he was almost surrounded by reporters. What do you think about the change of coach in Paris? None of the players in Paris came to see off Camber. You came alone. Are you protesting the team's dismissal? Do you have any opinion about Ancelotti? You probably won't be the main center in the second half of the season. What do you think about that? Countless questions ran out. Ronaldo looked at the reporters and frowned a little dissatisfied. No matter who the manager is, I will help the team with goals, Ronaldo said as he walked. What if you can't play? A reporter asked. Ronaldo glanced at him and saw the reporter with a defiant smile on his face. This question is clearly provocative. No manager would ignore me. Ronaldo gave a thumbs up to his nose, said with an arrogant expression. On the other side, Alexander patted his forehead. Never mind. This kid, that's the style. Episode 88, Physical Examination Report. No manager would ignore me. This is the huge title of Paris All Market, accompanied by a picture of Ronaldo stinky fart pointing his thumb at himself. The whole layout is very impactful. What an interesting boy. Inside the head coach's office, Ancelotti put the newspaper down with a smile on his face. It's still in the middle of the holidays. Carlo Ancelotti is already at Paris Saint-Germain's training base. Tomorrow, the team will regroup for the second half of the season. For Ancelotti, he didn't have much time to get to know the team and get in touch with the players. Moreover, Ancelotti took over after the winter break. Large-scale transfers are generally difficult to make in the winter window. Because the winter transfer window is not a good transfer time for both the players and the team, Carlo Ancelotti arrived, of course, bringing an Italian player, midfielder all-rounder Mata, but that's about it. At this time, opposite Ancelotti, Carlo Ancelotti's assistant and new Paris Saint-Germain assistant coach and former France international Makelele picked up the newspaper. Ronaldo returned to Paris and, in full view, saw off Paris Saint-Germain's former manager, which was interpreted as an expression of dissatisfaction with Paris Saint-Germain's employer's coach. I wonder what Mr. Ancelotti will think when he sees this scene. Makelele put down the newspaper, and a solemn look appeared on his face. What do you think? Makelele asked. And Fat Man from the Apennine Peninsula shrugged. What can I do? Let's see before we talk, Ancelotti said. In fact, he didn't know what kind of person Ronaldo was. But if the striker has scored more than 20 goals for Paris Saint-Germain in half a season, he drops. That's just silly. Therefore, the media's speculation is, indeed, as Ronaldo said, no manager will ignore him. With his performance in the first half of the season, he is indeed qualified to say such a thing. Ronaldo returned to Paris 2 days early. Since the team was still on holiday, Ronaldo wanted to go out with Ariela and others. Ariela gave him a look. You have Adele, don't you take it yet? Going to nightclubs is the privilege of us single dogs. Just pay for it, Ro. Cherish Adele. Remember to get me an autograph. Your boy and Adele are together. Why are you still messing with us? A group of people with obvious vinegar intentions. I really have nothing to do with her. Ronaldo couldn't help but wail. But no one believed it. These days, with the release of that commercial film co-starring Ronaldo and Adele, it has caused a sensation in France. This commercial is very much in line with the previous rumor. At this moment, his teammates no longer believed the explanation that there was no relationship between him and Adele, but Ronaldo really felt that he was quite wronged. Inexplicably, he became a husband with a wife in the eyes of his teammates. In this way, won't they go out to play without themselves in the future? Ronaldo thought rather annoyed. He pulled out his phone and flipped to the information page. What do you think? It's still in the text box. However, there was no reply. Adele didn't call again either. Ronaldo was convinced that the story of himself and which chick should end here. He shook his head. It seems that if you want to convince your teammates, you have to wait for the heat of this matter to subside, since they hang out without taking themselves. Then train at the super training ground. Ronaldo entered the system, sweating profusely. The next day, the team regrouped. The players who had spent half a month of vacation returned to the training base, one after another. At the training base, Ronaldo also saw the team's new head coach. Carlo Ancelotti still seems to be a very kind person. He has a rich coaching resume, and it is basically difficult to hear Ancelotti's team dressing room explode. Fadian has a high emotional intelligence. This is something that everyone recognizes. After a humorous self-introduction, Carlo Ancelotti drew closer to the players. For the players of Paris Saint-Germain, Makelele, who stands behind Carlo Ancelotti without saying a word, is a little more deterrent. After all, most of Paris Saint-Germain's main framework is still French players. There was nothing special about this day's training. The morning is a physical examination, mainly to check whether there are any players who eat and drink during the holidays, resulting in weight gain. At noon, Ancelotti frowned when he got the players' medical reports. Obviously, during the holidays, many of PSG's players were poorly managed physically. It seems that we need to go up a little bit. Makelele grinned. These brats are unlucky. Ancelotti nodded in agreement. You look at this. Makelele handed Ronaldo's medical report to Ancelotti. Ancelotti took a look. And then there was a comparison with the beginning of the season. There was no decline. I weighed 1 kilogram, but my body fat percentage dropped by 1 percentage point. Ancelotti was pleasantly surprised. After taking half a month's leave, Ronaldo's physical condition became better. What does this say? It shows that Ronaldo did not relax during the holidays, maybe even practiced. Carlo Ancelotti, before taking over at Paris Saint-Germain. There are two kinds of news about Ronaldo seen in the media. Either the goal was scored, or went to a nightclub with my teammates. Yes, there was also a scandal with a new generation of French Wadans recently. Even without meeting Ronaldo, Ancelotti had already constructed a basic image of Ronaldo in his mind, a powerful genius bad boy, difficult to manage the prickly head. Such players. Ancelotti has also seen it a lot. But look at this medical report now. His own opinion of Ronaldo seems to be a little biased. He's not just this side of what I saw myself in the media. Episode 89. Although he developed a little favorability for Ronaldo, but Ancelotti decided to come according to his original vision. Overall, Carlo Ancelotti is a manager who is very good at watching the dishes. His tactical skills are extremely profound. This is the characteristic of coachy waiting. However, he also has some football philosophies of his own. In other words, Ancelotti also has his favorite tactical system. This has to be said, at the peak of AC Milan, the 43-21 Christmas tree tactical system. Christmas tree formation has always been one of the popular tactics on the football field, but what really made Christmas trees popular was undoubtedly AC Milan coached by Carlo Ancelotti in 2001-2007. During that time, Milan concentrated a group of talented stars, under the command of Carlo Ancelotti, achieved many brilliant results. Around 2002, Albertini, the traditional back of the art of Italy, left AC, by which time Redondo was 34. AC Milan doesn't have a really strong back in the squad, and Ancelotti has 3 number 10 players on his hands, Rui Costa, Seedorf and Pirlo. So Ancelotti made a bold tactical change, arranging Pirlo to serve as the core of the delayed organization. This tactical role should be rare at that time, maybe Guardiola is one. Such a tactical change allowed Pirlo to interpret the delayed organizational core to the extreme, so that he became the core of usually in the next 10 years, and also became a textbook role in modern football tactics. At that time, Ancelotti used the 43-12 formation in AC Milan, which was the predecessor of Ancelotti's version of the Christmas tree formation. AC Milan boss Silvio Berlusconi often asked Carlo Ancelotti to send in a 2-striker starting lineup. As a result, Ancelotti also had to compromise, sending 2 world-class strikers in his formation, Shevchenko and Inzaghi. However, this arrangement does not work well. Shevchenko was forced to retreat more to get the ball, and the power of the nuclear warhead was greatly reduced. Moreover, both goal scorers have a particularly strong desire to score. Therefore, Ancelotti still occasionally plays with the Christmas tree against the owner's wishes. And the real perfection of the Christmas tree formation, and the arrival of Kaká, really made AC Milan completely soar and become one of the most competitive teams in the world. So, the conditions for the Christmas tree formation are still a bit harsh, and he needs a well-rounded striker, the level of Shevchenko. 2 interior strikers are also needed, one of whom is Kaká's level. A Pirlo is also needed to command the midfield. This is really unattainable. Therefore, Ancelotti does not expect to be able to get this formation up when Paris Saint-Germain first takes over. However, Paris Saint-Germain has a big advantage, and that is to have money. Therefore, if there is a shortage of people, you can buy and buy, but at this stage, not yet. It is still necessary to match the combined formation according to the current personnel. The first day of training was only physical training, and did not add to the level of tactical training. But Carlo Ancelotti and his assistant Makelele kept a closer look at the team while they were training with the ball. For Ronaldo's ability at his feet, Makelele shook his head. Even as a player, he was a purely defensive back. Makelele's foot skills are much better than Rana's. After the end of training, the players are going home. Members of the coaching staff remain at the training base to discuss the training plan, especially the tactical training program. During the meeting, Makelele said of Ronaldo, "I don't know how this kid scored more than 20 goals. But his technique under his feet is simply poor." Ancelotti also nodded. Makelele is right. Poor technique under the feet is definitely a big shortcoming of Ronaldo. In fact, Carlo Ancelotti needs a center forward who can take the ball and protect it. In this way, Ronaldo does not seem to be a good fit. But one thought of Ronaldo's data and his medical report. Ancelotti wavered again. It's Kevin Gameiro or Ronaldo? It's a hard choice. Ancelotti had a headache. The time for the next game is coming soon. Fortunately, it was a Cup of France match. The opponent is Colomba, a third-division team that will have little impact on Paris Saint-Germain. In this game, Ancelotti does not plan to send the main team. And after this French Cup, it was the 20th round of the league, at home to Toulouse. This was Ancelotti's first test when he came to power. This game. Who to send? Soon, Ronaldo felt the difference after Ancelotti came to power. In the next day's inter-team match, receiving the yellow vest, which symbolizes the main force, is Kevin Gameiro, who played for most of the season as a substitute. Kevin Gameiro was very excited when he received the yellow vest. The opportunity has finally come. After his injury, Ronaldo took advantage of the trend and snatched his main position. And Ronaldo's performance is getting better and better, leaving Kevin Gameiro with no hope of returning to the starting lineup. But now, the change of coach has changed the team again. It looks like a new change in the team's tactics. Actually, at tactical training sessions, the players felt it. Carlo Ancelotti puts more emphasis on ground passing up front, creating more chances through foot coordination. In this way, Ronaldo may be marginalized in such tactics. Mean and the others looked at Ronaldo sympathetically. The team's top scorer in the first half of the season, Ronaldo, who scored almost half of the team's goals. Is it possible to sit on the bench after Ancelotti arrives? Areola patted Ronaldo's shoulder as a sign of comfort, and Ronaldo glanced at Ancelotti. This moment. It's as if he's back to the time when he first entered the first team and fought for the main position. He was expressionless. Isn't it competition? Uncle Ronaldo has never been afraid of competition. Ronaldo calmly accepted the situation, knowing that there was no point in arguing with the manager. He wanted Ancelotti to see it too. Why can he squeeze out Kevin Gameiro? It's like showing it to Camber. Episode 90, fell into the downwind? It was supposed to be an inter-team match. However, because of the competition between Ronaldo and Kevin Gameiro, the atmosphere has become a little wrong. Speaking of which, Ronaldo is clearly better connected within the team than the withdrawn Kevin Gameiro. Most of the players on the bench also have a good relationship with him, so they also worked hard to help Ronaldo. Soon, Ronaldo was kicking his head in training and scoring 3 goals in a row. All 3 goals brightened Ancelotti's eyes. Strong physicality, a strong desire to score in the box, and a very good header. These are the basic qualities of a good big center. However, Kevin Gameiro also performed well. In order to prove himself in front of Carlo Ancelotti, he also worked very hard in the game. After the game, Kevin Gameiro also scored 2 goals. 2 strikers. One went into 3, one into 2. Who descend in the league at the weekend? Ancelotti was a little annoyed. However, in the eyes of the players, this time the competition between the two is still Ronaldo. Because he scored 1 more, and he was on the bench side, and the relatively weak side scored. And Kevin Gameiro scored 2 though. But he has Mean by his side and Pastore to help him take the defensive pressure off. After the training, Areola of course supported his friend. Come on, Luo. I believe that the main position is yours, and the people in Yazili will not be so stubborn. Ronaldo nodded. That's nature. He was confident. In the past few days of training, the main axis in the Paris Saint-Germain team is basically the competition of 2 centers. In terms of scoring ability, Ronaldo is significantly stronger than Kevin Gameiro. But to say that under Ancelotti's current tactical system, Kevin Gameiro, who is more capable and flexible on his feet, will undoubtedly be more appropriate. A few days passed. On January 9th, the team played their first Coupe de France match of the season. There were basically no main players in this game. Neither Kevin Gameiro nor Ronaldo made the tournament squad. Paris Saint-Germain also won 3-0 away to advance to the next round of the French Cup. It is worth mentioning, the day after the end of the French Cup, the Champions League group stage matches are also over. The 3rd place in the 8 groups of the Champions League went directly to the last 32 of the Europa League, and among them, Manchester United were upset in the group stage and finished 3rd and fell into the Europa League. So, the last 32 of the Europa League were also all born, with the draw taking place in Nyon, Switzerland. Paris Saint-Germain's signing was not bad. They drew Lokomotiv Mo in the Russian Premier League. The strength of the Lokomotiv in Mo is not strong, but all Western European teams know, Lucia's winter. What kind of horror it is. It's not fun to go to Mo for the road. Of course, the French media also generally believe that Paris Saint-Germain has no problem eliminating Lokomotiv Mo. The Europa League draw results are out, though. However, the knockout stage of the Europa League will not be played until February. There is still more than a month to go. For Paris Saint-Germain, it is even more crucial to play in the league. And for Ronaldo, his focus is on whether he can start in the 20th round of the league, the team's home game against Toulouse. If you let Ronaldo start, wouldn't all the tactics we developed before be useless? The day before the game, the coaching staff was still engaged in heated discussions. Who is the starting choice for the center? Is it Ronaldo or Kevin Gameiro? Ancelotti didn't make a decision, so the coaching staff was also arguing. Carlo Ancelotti brought in 2 members of the coaching staff, including assistant coach Makelele and a tactical training coach, and strength and conditioning coaches, goalkeeper coaches, intelligence analysts, and the like. Carlo Ancelotti also used members of the original coaching staff. So, now the 2 sides are divided into 2 factions. The original coaching staff insisted that even if it was a double center, it should be sent in Ronaldo. For more than half a season, they have been extremely recognizable for Ronaldo's goal-scoring ability. What is the most important thing in football? It's a goal. Only goals bring victory. No matter what tactics you use, isn't the ultimate goal to score goals? But Makelele, after observing Ronaldo for a few days, insisted, Ronaldo's shortcomings are too short. He's too easy to target. Makelele said at a tactical meeting, I think he can sit on the bench as a substitute high school striker and play when the team can't get things off. But if he is the starting center, it will seriously weaken the team's control, Makelele said. Modern football, with the changes brought about by Barcelona's tactical system, pays more and more attention to ground flow and possession. Possession equals equal to winning. When Pep Guardiola led Barcelona to beat Manchester United last season to win the Champions League again, this concept is recognized by more and more people. In other words, this is the current mainstream perception. After all, the fact that a non-possession streaming team like Leicester City won the Premier League title would not have been believed by now. In the end, Ancelotti made a decision. Let Kevin start first, Ronaldo on the bench. When Carlo Ancelotti announced the start in front of everyone in the team, everyone looked at Ronaldo. Ronaldo's face was ugly. After all, he was a young man who was not yet 19 years old, and he did not have such a deep city government. So, joy and anger go with color. Ancelotti looked at Ronaldo. He suddenly felt, is there a problem with this decision yourself? And Kevin Gameiro had a smile on his face. This time in competition with Ronaldo, he clearly came out on top and had the upper hand. The next thing to do is to keep scoring goals and completely consolidate their main position. Thorough. Squeeze this big man of the Celestial Empire to the bench.